Ishan Kishan is someone who's going to need some jaldi cooling because he's not really had big knocks that they're looking at. So I want to go to our experts and ask them for their coolest advice, powered by Crompton Air Coolers Jaldi Cooling. Joyda, Simon, his strike rate's been very good, but his average is all of 24. And for MI, they need him to go big. Or do you think this is probably the role they've given him, that go hard and don't worry about going big, but go hard?
Look, my advice to him is do exactly what you're doing right now, because the point of it is that with a lineup like that, the only way you can take advantage of that lineup is the top 2-3 players have to go hard. And in fact, if you have anyone in the holding role there, I'd say Tilak Verma is the one person in that lineup who strikes at a 150 and still seems to be not taking too many risks. But the others are all going for it, and they have to go for it, because that's today's game. If you see 250s and 260s being chased down, telling any batsman to be careful and start playing out overs is not going to work.
Yeah. But Simon, also, the boarding pass that you've been very frugal in giving. Do you think Ishan Kishan, as wicketkeeper bat, is at least getting a visa in, if not the waiting lounge?
He's quite a way down the pecking order, I think. I mean, probably, I had Jitesh ahead of him before the start of the tournament. He's probably nudged ahead of Jitesh. He's probably at number 4 on the list if you think Pant, KL and Sanju Samson. He might be at number 4 on the list now. Strike rate, very impressive. And if that's his role, if that's what he's been told to do, then no problem with it. The best place to bat in this format of the game is at the top of the order. We all know that. So from an opening batting point of view, you'd like to think if your strike rate's around that 155, 160 mark and above, if you could average close to 30, you're doing more than a good job for your team. I mean, early 20s is a little bit low, but if you could get that to 28, 29 and still strike at 160, that's doing your job. In my opinion, that is doing your job for your team inside the power play, because you're getting your team off to flying starts. When they're both going, as Joy said, the impact sub has allowed teams to bat a lot deeper. So I think the message for most of the opening combinations in this tournament now is just go, because we have the cover. We have the ability to cover for you. And, I think Mumbai have got that cover. So he would like it. I would like it to see, in the late 20s if you're going to strike at 160 and above. But at the moment, he's getting the odd flyer for them. And that certainly sets them in good stead.
Well, he's not handing over that boarding pass, Joyda. But what does Ishan Kishan do? Because the central contract's not with him anymore. IPL probably is the only place he needs to kind of get into great form to knock on doors which have been shut down.
I think, look, he's got to play this IPL. His chances in this World Cup are distant.
Yes.
Because they're at least, as he said, at least 3 ahead of him. And after that, if you look at that, I think what he really needs to do is go back and play for Jharkhand. I mean, though Kumar Kushagra is also there, but I think Kumar Kushagra will be very happy to slip over and allow Ishan. He just has to play domestic cricket at this point in time. I think there's a whole movement in Indian cricket where they're looking at it and saying these young kids, they're going to play just 2 tournaments a year, play just T20 matches. And one of the byproducts of that is A, they're not fit, B, they're not giving back to the system.
Correct.
And it is a debatable issue, but I think at this point in time, if he wants to calm people about where he is, where he's not, I think he needs to go back and play a bit of domestic cricket.
There should be some sort of caveat in your IPL contract, I think.
Yes.
And I know that the BCI are looking at these sorts of things, and they want these players. Their aspiration needs to be India. Their aspiration shouldn't be IPL. Their aspiration should be the very, very top. Now, if IPL comes and India comes after that, that's great. But at the moment, I think there's a lot of young players around this country whose aspiration is just IPL. And therefore, they feel they don't have to do the hard yards. And there are so many cricketers in India doing the hard yards in Ranji Trophy. And they are hard yards. They're playing 4-day cricket constantly in the heat and never get an opportunity for an IPL contract. And some of these young players who come through and are just got their eye on IPL only, they're not giving back. And they're getting paid a huge sum of money. And I think there needs to be some sort of clause or something in there that you must be playing domestic cricket, at least half the games or something along those lines. To me, that is something they need to look at. And I think they get pretty much everything right, the BCI. This tournament it's a beast. It's grown and grown and grown. It's an amazing tournament, provides so much for every young cricketer. The WPL is doing the same thing for young female cricketers as well at the moment. But there's a couple of little things that I think need to be given back to those guys who have worked their backsides off in Ranji Trophy cricket. They need to see that level of commitment coming from the top level back to them. So that's something I'd like to see, because the other thing is, if you just continue to play only T20, your game doesn't improve.
True.
You don't know how to work the ones. When situations get tough, when you start to play on a tired surface, and maybe in the last month of the tournament we might see the odd surface just get a little slower and a little lower. We're hoping that we don't see 260s every day. And how do you work the spinners around when that's going well? If all you're doing is trying to slog them out of the ground, you don't understand the nuances of working the ball around and being able to take ones and get off strike and rotate the strike. And you don't understand a 165 game, a 170 game. So that's the one thing you learn, I think, when you go back to 4-day cricket or domestic cricket. And so I'd like to see not only Ishan Kishan, he's not the only one. There are a few others, but you want India to be the pinnacle.
Well, I think this is very cool advice by Simon and Joyda, that go back and play domestic cricket, because like Simon said, you need this for the future of Indian cricket. We had asked all of you all to come in and give your advice and your coolest advice. So let's see who our winners for today are. Hardeep says, my coolest advice to Mumbai Indians captain Hardik Pandya is Nehal Vadera is a good batsman. Promote him and shepherd in the squad. He can play as an all-rounder role. Start the bowling with Tushara. He can take the couple of wickets in the power play. It's a lot of advice, Hardeep. Let's see what's next. Oh, we have Dr. Akshay Official telling us that my coolest advice for the Mumbai captain Hardik sir is he should promote Tim David to number 4. Brevish should be used as an impact player. Piyush Chawla should bowl 2 power play overs to build pressure on Delhi batting unit. Thank you, Dr. Akshay, for that. Well, very filled advice that we've got. Very specific advice. But congratulations to both of you all. You all were the winners for today's coolest advice, powered by Crompton Air Coolers, Jaldi Cooling. But you all know the drill now. In case you all have any advice which is so pointed, so serious, or just quirky, funny, anything, write into us on Twitter and share your hashtag coolest advice to win big prizes, powered by Crompton Air Coolers, Jaldi Cooling.